For over a century, the United States and Canada have shared more than just the world's longest undefended border. They've built a unique defense partnership. This relationship was forged in the fires of two world wars, where American and Canadian soldiers fought side by side. Their shared sacrifice created a bond of trust and laid the groundwork for military cooperation rarely seen between sovereign nations. After World War II, the Cold War prompted the creation of NORAD in 1958, a joint command responsible for detecting airborne threats to North America. NORAD remains a powerful symbol. An attack on one is an attack on both. Beyond NORAD, the two countries share intelligence, patrol maritime approaches, and train together in NATO missions. This interoperability is the result of decades of deliberate planning and investment. When a crisis hits, US and Canadian forces are expected to function as a single, cohesive unit. However, the partnership hasn't been without challenges. Policy disagreements and trade disputes have caused friction. From Vietnam to Iraq, Ottawa and Washington haven't always agreed, but the defense relationship has endured. It's been seen as too important to fail. This long history of cooperation is the essential backdrop to the recent, very public disagreement over a multi-billion-dollar submarine deal. The current tension is significant, given the depth of the partnership. The stakes are higher than ever. The world is watching how these two allies handle their differences. The outcome could reshape North American security for years to come. The next chapter begins with a surprise from Washington. In August 2025, the Trump administration stunned Ottawa with a direct offer: 4 advanced, nuclear-powered submarines for $20 billion. The deal was framed as a critical investment in continental defense, not just a sale. U.S. officials argued Canada's aging diesel-electric subs were no match for growing Russian and Chinese activity in the Arctic. Only nuclear-powered submarines, they insisted, could patrol the vast northern waters effectively. The White House made it clear this was a test of Canada's commitment to shared defense. The $20 billion price tag was non-negotiable. Canada's initial reaction was shock, followed by intense debate. The offer was unexpected and overwhelming for a country with a much smaller defense budget. The Trudeau government scrambled to assess the implications. The public announcement from Washington forced Canada to negotiate in the spotlight. President Trump's transactional approach left little room for maneuver. The message, America's security guarantees, were not a one-way street. The submarine deal quickly became a high-stakes political drama. The pressure was on Ottawa to respond. Canada's main reason for rejecting the deal was the astronomical cost. $20 billion is nearly half its annual defense budget. Committing so much to 4 submarines would gut other military priorities for years. Nuclear-powered subs are also expensive to maintain, requiring specialized infrastructure Canada lacks. The true lifetime cost would far exceed the initial price. Politically, Canada's non-nuclear policy and public opposition to nuclear technology made the deal toxic. Environmental groups and much of the public opposed operating nuclear reactors in Arctic waters. The government faced a potential political backlash. Another sticking point, the deal offered little benefit to Canadian industry. No domestic manufacturing or long-term contracts. Ottawa would spend billions with little return for its own workers. The lack of industrial benefits was a deal-breaker. Ultimately, the risks outweighed the rewards. Negotiations were brief, intense, and tense, lasting just a few weeks. The U.S. delegation, led by senior officials, insisted the $20 billion nuclear subdeal was non-negotiable. Canada's team tried to propose alternatives: joint development of advanced conventional subs or increased contributions to NORAD. The Americans rejected all counter-proposals, sticking to their original offer. The atmosphere was frosty and unproductive. Canadians felt dictated to. Americans saw Canada as unwilling to commit. The cultural gap in negotiating styles was clear. The breaking point came during a tense call between President Trump and Prime Minister Trudeau. Trudeau formally rejected the deal, citing financial, political, and industrial reasons. President Trump expressed deep disappointment, warning of consequences for the broader relationship. The negotiations collapsed. The deal was dead, leaving both sides to manage the fallout. The failed deal leaves a major capability gap in the Arctic. Canada's aging submarines are ill-suited for under-ice operations, forcing the U.S. Navy to shoulder more of the burden. For Canada, the rejection frees up funds but doesn't solve the long-term submarine problem. It could take a decade to design and build new conventional subs. In the meantime, Canada must rely on drones and sonar, stopgap measures at best. The U.S. defense industry loses a $20 billion export, impacting jobs and revenue. Canada misses out on nuclear expertise and technology. Political friction could spill over into trade and other areas. Most damaging trust between the two militaries has eroded. The integrated defense structure that kept North America safe is now under strain. In Washington, President Trump blasted Canada for not paying its fair share, calling the decision a sign of weakness. Republican lawmakers echoed the sentiment, questioning America's commitments to allies who won't invest in security. The narrative Canada is an unreliable partner. In Canada, Trudeau defended the rejection as a stand for sovereignty and fiscal responsibility. Some praised the government for standing up to U.S. pressure. Others criticized the failure to find compromise. The public largely supported the decision, wary of the cost and nuclear technology. Diplomatic relations chilled, routine meetings postponed, rhetoric turned formal and strained. The dispute complicated cooperation on trade, border management, and environmental issues. The submarine deal became a symbol of diverging political paths. In the U.S., it fueled calls for a more transactional approach to alliances. In Canada, it sparked debate about independence and the costs of relying on the U.S. Both countries began to question the future of their partnership. The fallout was felt far beyond defense. Despite the acrimony, the U.S.-Canada relationship is too deep to be shattered by one dispute. Geography, shared economy, and security interests bind them together. But the incident is a wake-up call. Each country sees threats differently. The U.S. expects urgent investment. Canada prefers a measured, multilateral approach. If not managed, this divergence could cause more friction. Rebuilding trust will require genuine dialogue and respect for each other's realities. The U.S. must avoid dictating terms. Canada must offer credible alternatives. Both must return to the spirit of partnership that has defined their alliance. North America's security depends on this bond. The failed submarine deal is a lesson in the need for communication and compromise. The partnership can't be taken for granted. It must be renewed by every generation of leaders in Washington and Ottawa.